Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we're continuing with our series of shirim on the teachings of the Tzaddik and the Gaon of Yitzchak Meyer Morgenstern Shlita. And Be'ezras Hashem, we're going to get right back into it now from Eretz Yisrael, the vicinity of the Rebbe, less than an hour away from the Beis Medrash, less than an hour away from Ir Atikah, from the Kotel Ma'aravi, from Kedra David, from the Beis Medrash Hanikra Shem HaTzaddik, from all of the places on the map. You know, and there's a certain thing that's lost when a person comes to Eretz Yisrael, which is the chukka of being in Eretz Yisrael. As the Baal Tanya would say, that came b'kodesh chazi sicha lirois uzchuch v'decha, that halavai b'zman shabeis hamikdash kayim ezke lirois oischa k'shura isa oischa v'golus, that halavai it should be that I'm zoichet to see you in the times of geula as I grasped you in times of golus. Now golus and geula are representative of Chutz La'aretz and Eretz Yisrael as well. And so there's a certain element of loss of the chukka that a person has when they make it to Eretz Yisrael, even to step foot in it, not to claim that one has made it ever, but to physically plant their feet on Eretz Yisrael mamish is a hargasha of the hevesi, of being here, which loses the chukka. But then a person realizes that, you know, it's still not Yerushalayim. Beit Shemesh is not Yerushalayim. It's an aspect of Chutz La'aretz within Eretz Yisrael. And so there's still the chukka. There's mountains blocking Yerushalayim. They're mamish gorgeous mountains that sing, but there's still mountains that block Yerushalayim. Ad she'be'ezras Hashem, all the harim are nasa l'sadeh, and the entire world is transformed into the Beis HaMikdash. So what we're going to be learning tonight is from a shir that the Rebbe gave a few weeks ago, Parshas Devarim, on Monday. And the inyanim that the Rebbe has been talking about is really, this is something we've spoken about as a chevra a little bit more and more recently, in the avodah of the Teres Chacham, that as we know, the Rebbe is a mamshech darko on a certain level of all of the tzadikei hadaros, in particular the manifestation of the Arizal through the Rashash and through the Teres Chacham, Rav Chaim de la Rosa Spusa ben Aleinu. And one of the elements that we see from Rav Chaim de la Rosa over and over and over again is how every part contains the whole within it, and how every single thing that a person encounters in existence is in truth the entirety of existence. And if a person cultivates this mindset deeply enough, then there's no place that a person finds themselves that everything is not available to them. That I can be in katnus, I could be in godless, I could be working, I could be eating, I could be drinking, I could be davening, I could be learning. Whatever the action is, it's just a particularized way of experiencing the all and the intense expression of everything within each and every moment. But it's not a negation of difference. Adarabba, it's forcing the grand unity of all things into the differentiated spaces of difference, the prate pratius, over and over to reveal that each and every prat is in truth kailal asaklal, to the extent that we have taken this unified whole that seems to negate any particularity, and now we open it up to all intensifications of particularity, and we show that even the particular, even the prat, the last particular that is possibly particularized in the language of the Leshem Shabbat Chaloma, that even there in the lowest place, in the Dir B'Tachtain and Mamish, in that Malchus that's yored into the Malchus of Bri Yitzir and Asiya, even there a person can taste and experience everything. So the shir, it was a shir that the Rebbe was giving. It's the Hasidic shir. I believe it's on Tuesday nights, although I'm not sure, on Nesiv Mitzvah from the Kamarna Rebbe. And the Rebbe has been talking about osios, the avodah of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, to uncover the oilamos, neshamos, ve'elikus that's found within each and every letter. Oilamos is the ontology of the worlds, neshamos is the psychology of the human being who is experiencing life in this world, and elikus is the godliness that a person is connecting to. And each and every letter, each and every particularized expression contains all three capacities of the self of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the worlds in which we connect the self with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the language of the Nesiv Mitzvah is describing how each and every letter also contains a feminine counterpart. So don't think that the letter itself, because it's a singular letter, only contains a masculine aspect of expression or something along those lines. But even the masculinity of the letters, the expressivity of the letters, contains within itself its own particular form of nukva, of malchus, of femininity. The language of the Nesiv Mitzvah is as follows. In every letter, there's a feminine quality to it as well. Ketam nashav hatu es levavo. Like the pasuk says that it was the women, it was the the women he was interested in that drew his heart away, that drew Shlomo Melech's heart away from the Binyan Beis Hamikdash. K'noidem imaran harivash tov, as we know from the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. And with this kavanah, with this intention, this awareness that each and every letter, no matter how profoundly expressive it is, also contains the hither side of it, which is the repressive, concealing receptacle of it all. That teaches us not only how to go from top to bottom, which is Aleph down to Taf, but it also teaches us how to go up from the bottom to the top, which is from Taf to Aleph, which is the Pele Elyon, to the wonderment of the Aleph at the very beginning, the Or, Ziv, to the light of the Ziv, the shine, Or Zero, the Tzaddik, Sinor Yamini. So, Zok the Rebbe, Yesod Gadol Badal Lamdenu Maran HaBaal Shem Tov HaKadosh. The Baal Shem Tov has come to teach us an essential cloud. V'hu behemshech inyan hadvekes ba'or ein sof al yidei ha'uisiyos v'bechinas oilamos neshamas v'elikus. And it's a continuation of the idea that we have the capacity to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu through each and every particularized letter, which contains within itself world, souls, and godliness. Sheyesh gam be'inyan shel hanukva hayaredes l'biyah. That in each and every letter, no matter how self-contained it is, no matter how wondrously high it is, it still contains the element of femininity, which is Malchus, and any element of femininity has all of the halachos of Malchus, which means that it goes down into the lower places as well. It goes down into the worlds of separation, into the worlds of Yitzir and Asiya, which is the place of concealment. Ketan nashav hatu es levava, like the pasuk says by Shlomo Melech, the feminine quality is what drew his heart away. The feminine quality of receptivity, of concealment, where the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu was not apparent, as Mamela, the moment that we find ourselves in the place of Malchus, we're already shaykh to coming down into the worlds of separation, into the worlds of Yitzir and Asiya, because that's the avodah of Malchus. The avodah of Malchus is that Malchus is capable of descending down into constriction and concealment for the purpose of elevating back up to the place of Eishes Chayla Teres Baila, to reveal that really that which appears lower is in truth higher. But what we find is that we also find this form of connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the feminine capacity, which is contingent and inherent within each letter. Klomar, what does this teach us? That in each and every letter, just as there's an avodah of yichudim and connectivity and holistic sense of connection, there's also going to be the hither side of experience, which is the ascent out of the klipa, the ascent out of the worlds of separation. That's also going to be found in the same individualized letter. That even within the feminine quality of the letter, even within the lower element of the letter, there's also going to be all of the heilig avodos of connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ve'elikus shu pele elyon. Meaning, again, what the Rebbe is saying is that what the Kamarna is pointing out is that in the masculine letters, there's also a feminine quality. And if the masculine letters represent the ability to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the olamos, neshamas, ve'elikus, again, this musag of olamos, neshamas, ve'elikus, worlds, souls, and godliness, again, the three elements of existence, which is the self, the space in which the self operates, and the godliness that the self in that place that it operates is trying to draw down into that moment. This comes from the letter that the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh wrote to his brother-in-law, Rav Gershon Kittiver, after his Aliyas HaNeshama through the Yisoid HaElyon, through the Amud HaYedua, through the known pillar, the known column that the Baal Shem Tov alludes to, when he went up to the Heichal of Mashiach Tzidkenu, and he says, Ei Masai Ka'asimar, when are you going to arrive? And Mashiach Tzidkenu said to the Baal Shem Tov, K'shiyachutzu ma'imosecha chutza, k'shiyasem, k'shiniachtem yichudim kamoischa, when you learn how to make yichudim like you do. And the Baal Shem Tov had a chalisha sadas, because how in the world were people going to have the yichudim that the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh had? And Mashiach Tzidkenu says, don't worry so much, because all you have to teach them is that in each and every letter, there's olamos, neshamas, ve'elikus. There's worlds, there's souls, and there's godliness, which means that inherent within each and every particularized atom of avodah, the atomized experiences of our lives, those particular letters, contains everything. So the Rebbe continues and he says, Yesh lahavin kan eskoila estaklis al prate avodas Hashem. From here we can learn a new way of looking at the particular aspects of avodas Hashem, not the general qualities, but the particulars. And again, particulars represent the difficulties, the concealment of the light of the whole, that place where things are not moving slowly. At first glance, a person might come to think that there are many different variated forms of service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's to the point that we climb like an ascending ladder or a hierarchical process where I go from stage A to stage B to stage C to stage D, and stage A doesn't have what stage B has, and stage B doesn't have what C has, and C doesn't have what D has. That's the first glance of Avodas Hashem, that each thing is its own thing and not some other thing. But this is not the proper way of looking through the lens, through the vision of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. The true way of looking is that in each and every level, A has its own A, B, C, and D. B has its own A, B, C, and D. C has its own A, B, C, and D. D has its own A, B, C, and D. Everything contains everything. Hakol hu bakol, like we said in the name of the Lashem Shvei V'Cholema. Shehem Olamus Neshamas Ve'Elikus. Every avoda, every nekuda has these three elements of me, the space in which I find myself, and the godliness that I'm trying to connect to in this moment. And there's an aspect of godliness in each and every avoda. So even when I'm at the bottom, it doesn't mean that I'm devoid of godliness right now. It just means that I have to uncover the godliness that is inherent in the bottom. And the Rebbe continues and he says, and in any pathway, in any particularized way of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for example, an Avreich in Koilel who's learning Iyun and Bekius, each and every person has their own conception of the general benefit of Iyun over Bekius or Bekius over Iyun. If a person is learning Daf Gemara, they might think this is not the time to connect to Elokus. The time to connect to Elokus is in davening and Amunah and Dveikus and Espoidus. But Zak the Rebbe, when a person is learning a Daf Gemara, there's also Elokus there. There's Elokus in every aspect of an individual's experience. The derech of Baal Shem Tov is to search out the connectivity to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in each and every avodah that I'm engaged in. The Ratzon Hashem Yisparach hamunach ba'ofen alimud shlamidol. Ad kedei kach that in the iyun itself, in the Bekius itself, when my mind is utilizing the expansivity of Chachma, which sees everything in its coalescence, which is the possibility of Bekius, seeing all of the pratim connect together, or if I'm using my mind of Bina, which is separating sugyos, which is the mindset of Iyun, that's where I can uncover the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu also. That's where I can uncover the Or of Elokus. Lukamoi shekvar bi'arnu. And it's what we've explained already, that the Bekius is the Yotachton of the Aleph. It's the lower way of experiencing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Iyun is the Vav itself that connects the lower Yud of the Aleph and the upper Yud, Ve'elukus, or Yud Ha'elyon. So each and every moment that a person finds themselves in, you have these three dargin of myself, the place in which I find myself, and my capacity to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no matter what. And even Bekius has its own form of the Aleph. It has its own form of the Aleph. A person has to continue seeking out and searching, like David Malka Mashiach, who said that I will not allow myself to rest until I uncover the place, the resting place of the Shekhinah HaKadosha, until I uncover the place of the Beis HaMikdash. We have to say that in each and every nikud in our lives. When I sit down to eat a bite of food, before I make a bracha, I have to say to myself, I will not rest until I uncover the elokus that is tamen in this experience of eating, in this experience of walking, in this experience of difficulty or struggle. The elokus is everywhere. And also by different ways of serving God. These distinctions apply in every area of Avodas Hashem. It's not only when I'm in a mindset of godly awareness and expanded consciousness where things are moving smoothly and I have awareness and dveikus and I know that Hashem exists and I know that all that exists is HaKadosh Baruch Hu and I'm entering into the places of Bittul. That's not the only place that I have access to Elikus. On every darga, on every level of the rungs of spiritual growth. Even when a person finds themselves in the matzav where that feminine quality of concealment and receptivity and restriction and hiddenness, which are so fundamental to the human experience, but they seem devoid of Elokus, even there I have to search out and uncover the light of Elokus that is hidden within it. And all of the sfekos that we encounter, all of the confusion and the neurosis and the difficulty that we all encounter, that is specifically where we have to seek out HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And there are going to be times in a person's life where the avoid is not going well, where the avoid is not working and my heart is away from me. Or when I fall into the type of the body and I fall into that mindlessness of experiencing the body devoid of a neshama, I also have to look at those scenarios with a godly vision that believes deeply in the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is found here right now. And I have to seek out and find the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that exists within that place. I'm just going to go a little bit weiter, Chevra. And the general principle is as follows. Anything that a person does, in any place that a person finds themselves, it's godliness, which means that there's absolutely nothing in existence in a person's life that exits the grand unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's lights. And any encounter that a person has in their lives, they have the capacity of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu with that. And there's no scenario in a person's life, there's no moment in a person's life where they can claim that I can't have access to HaKadosh Baruch Hu right now. Even when a person falls into the temptations of the body that conceal the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the hasfekos and the doubts that conceal the light of clarity. Yesh sham elukus, there's godliness there. That's the avodah that is incumbent upon a person in that moment. As the Kamarna Rebbe points out here, says the Rebbe, in every single letter where there's the elikus within the letter, there's also the capacity of descending down into the places of concealment and the palaces of impurity. And our job is to elevate it back up to the place of Kedusha. And this is the way we fulfill the wholeness of elikus. It's not enough for the Jewish people to be serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'moich and the gadlus. There's certain neshamos that have to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'moich and the katnas. Because by serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'moich and the katnas, we show that moich and the katnas is also moich and the gadlus. When a person comes to uncover and to be aware of the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is found there as well, so a person comes to understand what they need to do. And so, again, this is just a hamshacha of what the Rebbe is pushing so much from the Torah Chacham, that there's no time to wait. Every single moment where a person finds themselves is a place to uncover the light of the Beis HaMikdash, the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Oirish Yerushalayim. And there's no zman to wait to get to a place of Moich and the Gadlus. The avodah is to live with the Moich and the Katnas and to draw HaKadosh Baruch Hu down into the Moich and the Katnas. It might feel like a dveikus of Katnas, which is the opposite of Gadlus. But when I'm in my katnas, when I'm feeling so far from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as if I don't know anything, I don't believe in anything anymore, in that moment when I'm makabel those machshavos and I say, Rebbeinu Shalom, I know that you're hidden in this place as well. I know you're hidden in the very thoughts that claim that you don't exist. I know you're hidden in the very temptations that take me away from the place that I want to be. When I believe in that, that's the hamtapas adinim, that's uncovering the ois of Aleph. This is what the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh tells us by Az Yashir, that in the depths of Yashir, when the Jewish people lose their minds because the Egyptians are still chasing after them, we say, Amar, Oyev, Redoif, Asika, Chalek, Shalal, those 5 Alephs, the Baal Shem Tov says that in that place we uncover the 5 Alphin. We uncover the 5 elements of Aleph, the fact that even there the Aluf Shalom is found, even in the lowest of places. And by elevating the lowest of places, we're zoichet to bring the beautiful jewels of the Tesachas Kisha, to the perpetual renewal of unity by revealing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you thought that you would throw us into Katnas and we would think you're not here. We understand the joke, we get the joke, we know you're here also, and we're going to bring you the gems from this low place and we're going to place it right at the top of your crown. And this avodah, this bringing of the mat'amim, these difficult places in the avodah of Hashem, this is how we uncover the alufa shalom in everything that we do, Be'ezras Hashem.